We are here today to discuss the mains approach for UPSC CSE 2022. I'm hoping that all of you have given your prelims this year, and even if you haven't and you're planning to give it in your subsequent attempts, it's very important to understand how exactly should you move forward for the mains preparation. See, even though it is said that you need to prepare for UPSC civil services exams as a holistic exam and not as per the stages demand, but even you would understand if you have experienced this exam that this exam demands different strategies and different course corrections as and when you fall into different stages of this exam. Even though the preparation remains the same, the books remain the same, the syllabus remains the same, there is a certain shift, a transition that you need to make. And I have found a lot of aspirants struggling from transitioning from one stage to another, and in their, after prelims you hardly have 3 to 4 months of gap between prelims and mains. And if you're not well versed with the techniques of mains, you do not have sufficient time to figure out yourself how to now approach mains. So it becomes difficult for people to cope up with the syllabus, cope up with answer writing. Then there are certain other things which are demanded in mains which are not part of prelims. So a part of syllabus is also new, and hence, and you have an optional subject to take care of, and hence it's very important that from the start of the exam itself, you focus on mains even while you are preparing for your prelims. And this lecture is addressed to everybody who has given prelims and is expecting a positive result to write mains this year, who has not appeared for prelims and is preparing for next year's exams or the coming year's exams, and also to those who are doubtful about their result for this year's prelims and also who are also sure about not clearing this year's prelims. The reason behind that it is addressed to everybody is because whether you are clearing your prelims or not, if this is not your last attempt, then you are gonna write mains someday or the other, and then I do not want you to fumble with the preparation strategy. You should be well versed with how to move ahead now, how to transition to this next stage, so that whenever you clear your prelims, if you're a serious aspirant, then one day or the other you would clear your prelims, and then you should not be like, oh, now I've cleared prelims but I do not know how to proceed for the mains. And then you cannot be fumbling coaching after coaching, moving from seniors to ask their guidance because you do not have enough time. And that is why we bring to you this particular program, that is Awake by Drishti IAS. And this exam, program is focused on your answer writing preparation. Now, when I say answer writing, you also understand that answer writing is the main focus, that is 90% of the main strategy, how you write your answers. And this strategy would take you forward for the next interview stage, and this answer writing would decide your rank, would decide your cadre in services, would decide everything that you have to be equipped with. So that is why we are bringing in so much focus over answer writing, and that is why this program has been hence named. So you need to understand the importance of this particular step. While answer writing, it is also about knowledge enrichment program, because obviously how would you write your answers if you do not have knowledge of the subject, if you do not have knowledge about the syllabus? So even though it is answer writing, it is not mere answer writing. It is about writing the correct answers, writing perfect answers. Not perfect, there is no word like perfect, but anyway, writing answers which are better than others. At least you are a step ahead of your contemporaries. Only then can you expect to be well prepared for UPSC. So in this, I would discuss the general syllabus of your main syllabus. I would discuss what are the nitty-gritties which are needed for mains preparation, and I would also discuss how to be well prepared with respect to mains as per se, and about the things you need to take care of as you proceed with your preparation. So this is a general discussion. It is not catering to any one particular subject. But I hope that you would be benefited by this discussion for your entire mains preparation. I am not focusing it for this year's mains or the next year's mains. This is a general discussion, which there are things which every aspirant should know. And this is the aim of this discussion. So, if you have given your prelims, let's talk about the first step, how to make the switch. As you know, the exam comes in 3 stages. That is prelims, mains, and interview. So, by now you must have been done with your prelims while you're watching this video, and you would have prepared well for the prelims if you're clearing it. Even if you're prepared well and you're still in doubt whether you will clear the prelims or not, that hangover of this first stage sometimes jeopardizes your attempts at mains, jeopardizes your chances at mains, which is the core examination of UPSC CSE. Now, I have seen many aspirants, because they are not able to clear prelims, year after year they dedicate their 90% of the preparation methodology to the prelim stage of this exam. One thing you need to understand at the outset itself, that prelims is not the UPSC exam per se. You need to clear it, but you only need to clear it. The marks that you get in prelims are not counted for in your mains. They are not added to your overall marks. They do not decide your rank. Even if you clear the prelims at the very cutoff that UPSC has set, it won't affect your chances about the rank that you get, the service that you would get, and your future, your cadre. So, focusing so much on prelims sometimes brings this, hangover of prelims to students. They are not able to get out of that zone. And sometimes this period, that is before your prelims result is announced and you start with your mains preparation, this period is very crucial. If you happen to be at your 5th attempt or your 6th attempt, then it becomes more so important, because you might or might not have another chance at this exam to write mains, to have a rank, have service of your choice. So you need to understand the importance of this period, that is the period in which you would make this big switch from prelims to mains. And this is roughly, if I say 20 to 30 days. You must be bothering about your cutoff, you must be bothering about your marks, you must have matched your answer with the answer keys provided by various coaching institutes. Some of the answers given must be varying, and you must be, going nuts about whether you would be clearing this year's prelims or not. And day in and day out, you must be fretting about the same question. I have seen, we all have been through that, and we all have experienced that stress. But you need to understand whether you are clearing this prelims or you are not clearing your prelims this year. You anyway have to, and you should start your mains preparation. Why? One, because prelims is, as I told you, it's just an elimination step. That is, whatever marks you get, they won't be counted in your final score, and hence it doesn't matter whether you are getting 1 mark more, whether you are topper of the prelims, whether you are at the cutoff of prelims. Once you have cleared this stage, you should be ready with the mains. If you are planning to give mains, say next year or next to next year, then also you should be ready with your mains first. So first, if you are done with the prelims, if you matched your answer key, or if you have not matched your answer key, in both the cases, stop bothering about prelims now. Forget about it, because even if you have cleared, you don't have to bother about prelims. If you have not cleared prelims, or you feel that you won't be able to clear prelims this year, then also you should not bother about prelims anymore. And if you haven't given prelims, then there is no question to bother about prelims. You can start your preparation 3 to 4 months after this for prelims, and you did not bother so much about prelims at this stage. So first and foremost step happens to be for mains preparation. forgetting about prelims. Please understand why I'm stressing so much on this particular point, because we need your entire focus for mains for you to have a worthwhile rank in the services, and the rank would be decided with your mains marks. So do not straight away jump to the mains. First you need to take break. First you need to stop bothering about whatever has happened in prelims on 5th of June. Next you will have to re-energize yourself. You will have to refresh yourself for the next 3-4 months of exhaustive studying, of exhaustive hard work. Now this again is important, because you must have seen if you are interested in sports, and if you have seen all the athletes, before they take the big plunge, before they move ahead for the race, they take a step backwards, because if you are not relaxed, you won't be able to give your 100% to the next round of this exam. You won't be able to put in what is required for this exam, the exhaustive 3 to 4 months of preparation, which would decide everything that you would be in the civil services. So relax, rejuvenate, and come back after 10 days. That is, you can start your preparation, say, after 10th of June. That would be a good time to for you to move on and make the switch. By then, I'm assuming that you would have kept your prelims paper somewhere where it is not accessible to you. Just forget about it, okay? Second, unlearning. Now that we are done with the prelims, as I've told you, there is a certain way you must have read, you must have prepared for prelims. See, in prelims, the nature of examination is like, you have to read a lot. And in that, since it is an MCQ based exam, your recognition abilities are required, not the entire recalling ability. You just have to recognize the correct answer from the given option. Since it's an MCQ, you don't have to write anything. You don't need to know the entire thing about that particular event or, whatever has been asked. Only with the help of, certain basic keywords, certain basic mnemonics, you are able to reproduce the answer, or you are able to get the answer. And mostly it is, a kind of factual exam, because sometimes the facts are asked straight away. You are going on, reading and remembering and, forcing yourself to remember things with various techniques. You must have devised your own techniques to clear prelims, because certain methods like elimination method, like mnemonics, all these are helpful for the prelims exam. But now that it is over and the nature of the exam that you are about to appear, that is mains, is entirely different. It is a subjective exam, that is, it is not MCQ based. You have to write, and the answers that you have to write vary from 150 words to 200 words in GS. More than this in your optional and essay. So essay is a lot to write. Again, I would say, if you do not make the transition in your approach of, trying to remember things with the help of mnemonics, or, you don't train your brain or your mind to understand the concepts, you would be making a very big mistake. To give yourself an idea, if you are a new aspirant and this happens to be your first attempt and you haven't bothered about looking at the syllabus or the previous year questions, then I would suggest that you better go back, look at the syllabus of the mains. I would be discussing it too in this lecture. Look at the nature of questions that have appeared in previous years, that is say 3 to 4 years, 2020, 2018, 19, 17, and you would understand the kind of questions that are being asked. See, in mains, they are not asking you to give the provisions of, say, Maternity Benefit Act. They would never do that. They would just ask you to assess the advantages and disadvantages of this particular initiative by the government, and how has this impacted society, or how has this impacted women, this particular policy of government. So it is more analytical. It is like, if you know the provisions, it's good. You need to know the provisions to give a good answer, but you don't need to memorize them. You don't need to remember them word by word, because they are not going to ask you those provisions, in, every word. Nobody is going to bother whether you have written the right period that is given for the Maternity Benefit Act, you can actually, have a way of, if you do not remember the exact 180 days, you can, with the help of the language that you are going to write, you can actually do away with that requirement also. So there is a way of writing the answers in mains which you would get only after a certain amount of practice. So first and foremost thing is, you need to know the news, you need to know the topics, you need to know your basics to understand the questions and to prepare yourself to write the answers. You cannot just write anything if you have no clue about it. For instance, if I ask you, say, the labor codes and how have they impacted the unorganized sector or organized sector in India, you would be fumbling if you do not know the reforms that have been brought in through the labor codes, the recent labor codes. So you need to have the information, but you need to also have the analytical part of that information handy to you so that you can write a good answer. So, there is a switch in the preparation strategy. You no more have to remember the facts, you don't have to remember the dates, you don't have to remember the particulars of anything. You need to know it, but you don't have to remember it word by word. So that is the basic difference. Secondly, you need to, hone your analytical abilities. That is, you need to understand the issue at hand rather than the news. Separate the wheat from the chaff, that this is that stage. That is, you need to have the cream of any issue. You need to understand it at the very basic level. If you do not have the basic understanding and you have only read the provisions, if you have taken notes from, the government gazette, or you have taken the notes from, say, PIB, then it would be difficult for you to reach the analytical part. So read the provision, remember the provisions. This is just an example. Not everything is asked about the acts in mains. They are asking about issues. So you need to make the transition from facts to concepts. For instance, they wouldn't ask you name all the oceans in the world. Rather, they would ask you about the ocean currents and their impact on the weather. If I'm talking about geography, they wouldn't ask you the date on which Akbar, had his throne, or he was made the emperor of India. They would rather ask you the impact of Akbar's rule, if they ever to ask this particular question. The impact of Akbar's rule on culture, on architecture, on society of India. So this is the difference. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. So from facts, from dates, from the memorizing part, you need to reach to the analytical part. So this is the switch I'm talking about since so long. And I would suggest that as soon as you start your UPSC preparation, you start with this mindset that you need to analyze things. You need to have that critical ability with respect to any news, any policy, any welfare measure of the government, anything that is happening, the Supreme Court judgments. See, you are not reporters, you are not university students, and you are not the party worker. You are vying for a job which is administrative, and if you have that thinking ability of that critical analysis, only then would you be able to clear this exam, because it requires that kind of mindset. Do not follow for propaganda, do not follow for things that are being told you on your face. Always have that critical ability, always have that knack for the things to filter out what the crux of this particular issue is. If you know the crux, trust me, there won't be any question in UPSC. I'm talking about GS. Okay, there won't be any question out of, say, 90 questions, 95 questions that you are asked, not 95, 80 questions that you are asked in GS. There wouldn't be even 5 questions which you won't be able to attempt if you develop this knack of critical thinking, if you develop this knack to reach the crux of the issue, to understand the issue as a whole. Okay, so make that a practice. That practice takes some time, but if you are at it from the very first, from the very beginning, over time you would have that ability naturally in yourself. You can take help of editorials, you can take help of various class notes that you are being provided from time to time, Even while you are attending the lectures, I am sure all the teachers are giving you with that gist and are helping you to develop that kind of thinking. So do not miss out on it, understand its essence. It would be helpful to you in the long run. Next, moving on. Now, many aspirants also fumble with where to read from, how to prepare, what about the material that should be referred to. Most of it, see, I'm sure even you must have encountered a lot of advice while you started your preparation for this particular exam. Many seniors, many toppers, many teachers, many friends in your circle must have suggested you at least 5 books for each topic. And sometimes there are topics of which nobody is able to suggest you the material for. For instance, I've seen people asking me time and again, where should we read the Indian society part from? Or where should we read the art and culture from? Or tell me one book which can cater to the science and technology from which I can read, and all the questions come from there. So you need to understand that things are not readily available for you for certain things, and there are certain topics for which more than 5 materials are available, and you need to filter that out also. If you try and read everything under the sun, you would end up having too much but not understanding even a bit. Not even one book would be friendly to you or comfortable to you. So one thing you need to understand, that you need to filter out your sources and you need to keep them to a minimum. I would suggest that you read one source 10 times rather than reading 10 sources one time. Because if you read one source 10 times, trust me, in every reading you would find one new thing to read about or to understand from it. And it is that one source which over time would become familiar to you. Like suppose you had been reading India's Struggle for Freedom from Bipin Chandra, and you continue reading it from that particular book. After every reading, you would see that there were at least 10 things that you missed out in your previous reading. And the more you read, the more familiar you would get with the pages, with the place where certain things are mentioned, with the dates, with the names. And this familiarity helps you to sometimes, when you are faced with questions in the UPSC exam, there are 20 questions and you have to write them in 3 hours. So it becomes difficult to reflect back and think at that point of time, because you are hard pressed for the time. It is no joke to write 20 answers in 3 hours. So you wouldn't be having time to think, you wouldn't be having time to recollect things. It is always advisable to be as ready as possible for the exam, no matter what kind of questions are there. And UPSC is smart enough to always put certain questions which are not in your comfort zone, for which no ready answers are available, and you would be forced to think. So this thinking part, if you have done before the exam, obviously saves you a lot of time and energy. And how to ensure that this thinking part is done before the exam? By minimizing your sources. And another trick is, if you do not have one particular source from where you can read, then if you're referring to 3-4 sources, then make your own notes and put all those things, summarize all those 3-4 sources, whatever key points you have found, into one notebook of your own handwriting. Do not make these note on iPads or electronic items, or do not type it out, or do not use this text to speech feature, because ultimately it means you have to write, and the more you write, more your fingers, your hands would be trained and they would be in sync with your brain. Okay, so this practice of writing anything is important, because it would increase your speed, it would improve your handwriting, and it would improve your structure of the answer if you're going to write. See, when you're making your own notes, after a point, say after 1 month of practice, you would realize that now the notes you're making are better than what you made 1 month before. Why? Because with practice you would understand you don't need to write entire sentences in one go. Even the keywords would do. For instance, for example, if I have to write that right to equality is there in India, and this has helped the marginalized community because of its legality. Instead of writing this entire sentence every time that I'm making my notes, I would simply write Article 14, marginalized or I can just leave it at that. And the meaning would be conveyed to me in my subsequent readings. Whenever I revise these particular notes, I would understand what do these two words mean rather than writing the entire sentence. So this helps in your mains, because by the time you reach the last 5 questions, you would realize that there are only 20 minutes left, and rest of the time you have, consumed in the 15 questions that you were doing. And at this moment, this practice would be of immense value to you. Don't do that in the mains, that you write just the keywords. But sometimes you can put your answers in the form of flow chart. Sometimes you can put your answers in the form of diagrams, and even they would fetch you marks, rather than leaving those 3 questions at the end because you didn't have enough time to write the entire answer. It's always advisable to attempt the answers. Whether you know it or not know it, we will discuss it later, but just to attempt 20 questions in each paper, it is important for you to understand the importance of such note making, and it would only come when you start making your own notes. Start this practice now. Do not wait for the exam. Do not wait for the answer writing practice. Do not wait for the mock test. Start this practice by making your own notes. It would help you. So source material, as I was telling you, there are too many source materials, so we need to understand the first and foremost source material I would suggest is UPSC syllabus itself. Because if you are well versed with the syllabus, you will be able to filter out what you are not supposed to read, and that is an important part. Because the syllabus of UPSC is so huge, sometimes people say that everything under the sun is syllabus of UPSC, but that is not true. You need to understand that UPSC has also given the boundaries within which you have to stay and you have to prepare. So respect these boundaries and save yourself the extra energy, the extra time, and that would help you to remain in the preparation path and not stray away here and there. So be very well versed with the UPSC syllabus, and this is the most important source, I would say, for your UPSC preparation. Do not undermine it. Sometimes people think that only reading the syllabus is enough, but that is not. I would suggest that take the printout or take it in a written form or write it in your hand. That's even better, You will have a customized syllabus for yourself. Write it down for yourself in 4 pages, the syllabus of UPSC, and stick it up on your wall. It is important for you to understand whether you have covered certain topics or not, whether you are covering extra topics, what exactly has UPSC asked, and moreover, when you look at the previous year questions, you would be able to understand from which part of syllabus this question was asked, and you would know the importance of each part of syllabus. So you yourself would be able to mentor yourself as to what to read and what not to read and how much to read about any topic. Okay, so 1 is UPSC syllabus. Second is newspaper reading and current affairs. Now, everybody says that you need to read newspaper. But what to read in newspaper? There are around 17 to 18 pages. Not everything is important. So as I told you, this exam, this mains strategy requires you to understand the topic, the issue at hand, rather than the nitty-gritties of the issue. So you need to understand the crux, you need to know the critical aspect. For that, you need to read the front page, that is the headlines of the day, and the most important news is there. Okay, the front page is important. Sometimes the news is carried over to second page. It's written continued on second page. So keep reading that. Do not miss out on the headlines of the front page, because that is the most important news. Second, I would suggest that just take a cursory view of the pages that is written state. From 2 to mostly 4, 6, the pages of newspaper happen to be of the state news, and certain other things are there. Sometimes you do find something important, but that is not very important part of newspaper. The most important part of the newspaper happens to be the editorial and op-ed. The second most, this is the first most important, then second most important, third most important happens to be the international page, and then the economy page. But whatever is given on international and economy page and even on the front page, if the issue is of a lot of importance, then it would obviously be carried in your editorial and op-ed page, and it would be discussed as an issue. So there are people who read 3 to 4 newspapers so that not to miss out on news. That is a stupid technique as per me, because if the news is important from which UPSC is going to ask, it would always be carried in the one main newspaper that you are reading. So whether you're reading the Hindu or Indian Express or Financial Express or even Mint, sometimes it would be carried in the op-ed of those pages. So you need to have a daily practice of reading editorial and op-ed. If you have stopped reading newspapers during your prelims, please start it again. And except for the 1 month during your prelims preparation, you should be reading newspapers all the year round, because this exam heavily focuses on the current affairs and issues at present. Okay. Then the basic books are there. Again, you need to see the syllabus. You need to make the checklist of the syllabus and need to understand what are the basic books which are required. For instance, for GS1, there are basic books like Bipin Chandra is there, India's Struggle for Independence is there, then India After Independence is there, or Ramchandra Guha's is there, then Norman Law is there for world history. I'm not going into the details because it would be too cumbersome for me to give you the material list, but have the basic books at hand and give them multiple readings. Make your own notes, because it won't be possible for you to revise just before the exam. So give them multiple revisions. The basic books, do not miss out on that. Notes are important, the coaching notes or class notes that you are taking, but the basic books, if you keep referring, it would improve your vocabulary, it would improve your expression style, it would improve your writing style. So do not underestimate the importance of basic books. Then self notes. Obviously, as I told you, self notes would help you to have one, to minimize your sources, two, you would have very short notes available for revision without getting into all the details all the time again and again, because that takes time. And just before the exam, you have 2 exams in one day, and the night before you cannot revise 5 to 6 books. So it is important that you have the crux of everything made in your own hand. And 3, making your self notes would help you in your answer writing practice also. It would help you to understand how to say something in less number of words rather than overflowing. So self note, please always make self notes of your current affairs, of your newspaper editorials if you find it important enough, of your basic books, of your optional. Even if you think that certain topics are there in newspaper, or sometimes while surfing the internet also you find certain topics which you feel might be asked as essay, or at least be important for the inputs in essay, please note them down. Maintain a separate notebook for that also. And last but not the least, as I have told you, the syllabus is one important source material, so are the PYQs, that is previous year question paper. So if you have given your previous attempts, then again you need to go back to those PYQs. Do not say that I've already given the exam, so I know what questions are being asked. It's always helpful to look at the previous year questions of last 5 to 7 years. It keeps you on track with respect to your preparation. And sometimes while reading the PYQs, you remember that this question, even now I'm not comfortable, even though I've given the exam for this year, but still I haven't prepared this particular topic, and hence even today if somebody asks me to write the answer, I won't be able to do justice. So it's important to keep getting back to PYQ so that you do not miss out on the important aspects of the exam. Okay. Next, UPSC syllabus. I'm hoping that all of you watching the video have read the syllabus of UPSC at least once. If you haven't, please do yourself a favor. Close this video, pause this video. I'm giving only the gist. Please pause this video and get back to the UPSC website, see the syllabus. And if you are not very comfortable with the website, first of all, get accustomed to viewing that website again and again. It's helpful for you to know exactly what UPSC is saying about the exam. you need to know your opponent, right? And here it happens to be UPSC. So please treat it with the respect it deserves, because only that you would be well armed to clear this exam. So keep visiting the UPSC website, or if you're not comfortable, you can visit the Drishti IAS website. We have given the syllabus, we have given the approaches also. However, if you have read the UPSC syllabus, you can continue watching the video. So I would continue with 1. There are compulsory papers, and by this I mean the papers, the subjects which are just of qualifying nature. This happens to be the language paper. 1 is English. 2, one of the papers of Indian language. While you must have filled the form, you must have seen that they ask you to choose one of the Indian languages which you are comfortable with to give the exam. So 1 happens to be this. 2 is essay, in which it's one single paper, but there are 2 sections. So there is section A, you need to write 1 essay for section A, and there is section B, you need to write 1 essay for that. And for the total paper, it's in one sitting, you do not have to take a break. You need to write 2 essays in the 3 hours period that is given to you. So this is about essay. Then there is general studies, GS paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4. All of you must be knowing about this. There is nothing new that I am telling you. And then there is one optional subject, the subject which you yourself have chosen, and you would be asked the one particular day is there for optional subject, in which you have to write paper 1 in the morning shift and paper 2 in the afternoon shift. So this is the gist of the UPSC mains exam. This is how you would be asked to give your exams. Now the GS part of it, I've written it down again. Paper 1, all the 4 papers have 250 marks each. So total GS has 1000 marks. And you can understand the importance of GS just by looking at the weightage of the marks that is given to the GS papers. So paper 1 has your history portion, that is Indian heritage and culture. In this you will have your modern history, your post-independent history, your world history, your art and culture part, even part of ancient and medieval, only a little part of which is about art and culture. Then history and geography of the world and world society. So you would have geography. In that you need to know the basic, you must have read it for the prelims also. There is nothing more you have to write, just you need to reread it again in the context of writing the answers rather than marking the MCQ. So you need to know every phenomena in its whole. Like if you have read earthquakes for prelims, you must have only focused on the types of waves that during the earthquake that you see, seismic waves. But now you need to know the entire phenomena, you need to know the waves, you need to know the destruction, you need to know the hot spots all around the world where earthquakes are there. You need to know the impact, the disaster aspect of it, the disaster management aspect of it. So that is how there should be interlinkage between your studies, between your preparation, and also as per the topic. Then there is last part is Indian society. And in Indian society, I'm sure most of you must not have even prepared it, and sometimes you do not prepare it because you feel that it is too general to prepare. Sometimes you do not prepare it because you do not know from where to prepare, because there are no particular books available for that. So do not miss out on this particular aspect. I would suggest, even if a topic feels easy, it is always good to prepare it, because during the exam you would understand the importance of it, even while you're answer writing. If you feel that you're too comfortable with the society, then please have your previous year questions and start answering them in the word limit that is asked to you, and get it reviewed with your peers or your teachers. You would know where you stand. If you think that you're still comfortable, it's fine, you can leave out. Otherwise, please prepare it properly. Second is paper 2 is about governance, constitution, polity. So this again you must have read for your prelims. Then there is one part that is social justice, which is new, and then there is international relations, which is new in this particular paper. So you will have to prepare it again. Then paper 3 is general studies. first is technology, that is science and technology. Mostly they ask only the current events with respect to it, and economic development, that is economy part. Then there is environment and biodiversity, security and disaster management. Last paper is of ethics, integrity and aptitude. This was introduced, I think, in 2013, if I'm not wrong. And since then, you can see all the question papers of UPSC and see the kind of paper that it is. There are certain sources, you can mark the sources and reference material to read from and prepare it properly, because essay and ethics happen to be two areas where you can fetch maximum marks with minimum amount of practice. Okay, so this is about the syllabus. Then answer writing. See, I have been telling you that this particular program is about answer writing. The name itself suggests that we are focusing on answer writing. And why are we focusing so much on that? I have already told you. So if you have never written an answer in your life, then I think this is the right time you should at least test yourself whether you are comfortable writing the answer or not. And if you have written, then you would obviously know the problems that you have encountered while writing the answer. So these are the things which students need to understand while writing their answers, and they need to be prepared with it, because as I told you, the time duration that is given for your means papers, that is whether it is GS paper or essay or optional, you would always struggle with finishing the paper because the questions are too many and time is too less. You wouldn't even know when the 3 hours would fly. And it's only during the last half an hour, last 20 minutes that you would realize that, you know, I have to still cover a lot while time is not left so much. So to avoid such a situation, please be prepared in advance, and only for that I'm taking this session. If you have written answers, if you have given mains, you would still be struggling with presentation of answers. Many of you are confused as in what kind of answers you should write, whether you should write in short paragraphs, whether you should write in bullet points, whether you should write in one complete, paragraph from starting from, one word and finishing till the last word in one flow. So when it comes to structure, presentation of answers, I would say find your rhythm, find your flow, write some answers and know in which kind of answer you are most comfortable with. See, at the end of the day, the answer that you write should be the one where you are comfortable expressing yourself the best. When your copy goes to the examiner, when your answer sheet goes to the examiner, he hasn't met you. He doesn't know you personally. He doesn't know how much knowledge you have. All he has to test you is the answer that you have written. So do not struggle against your natural style. Trust me, people have gotten first rank with both kind of answers, the pointed bullet form answers also and the paragraph style also. So find your rhythm, find the kind of structure you are most comfortable with and present in, go ahead with that itself. Okay, so both are fine. The bullets are okay. The paragraph style is okay. But here I would say that do not write answer in one complete paragraph. That doesn't look good, and you need to understand from the perspective of the examiner also. See, he's checking almost 50 answer sheets per day. And there are phases of the day when you also feel tired and you feel lethargic and you do not feel like, continuing with the work. And if you give hard work to the examiner by writing in such a style that he has to read each and every word to find out what you have written, he would get irritated, right? He is human after all. And because they are university professors, obviously they are in the part of the age where it is easy to get irritated. So do not irritate the examiner. Make him your best friend by presenting your answers in a smart way, in an attractive way. You don't need to carry the sketch pens or the colored pens for that. You don't have that much time. But even if you're writing in paragraph style, please make them small paragraphs of say 3 sentences each. After which you can break the paragraph, start writing the next paragraph, then again paragraph. Within say 4 to 5 paragraphs, your answer should be complete. In that 2 paragraphs, one would be of introduction, one would be of conclusion. Similarly, even if you're writing in bullets, do not make your answer sheet look like this. This doesn't look good. Even now you would agree it doesn't look good. It's like you're bombarding the examiner with bullets. So this is not a good idea to do. A mix would be the best style for you if you are comfortable. You know, there are questions which demand you to write in the bullet style. There are questions which demand you to write in a paragraph style. For instance, if they are asking you to enumerate something, if that kind of question is there, suppose they are asking you the type of waves are there in earthquake. Let me go to my previous example. Then you can write the 4 waves in bullet forms. But if they are asking you the impact of globalization on Indian society, to put that in bullet form would look, difficult for a person to maintain the flow of the answer. Whether you write in the bullet form or you write in paragraph style, one thing you need to take care is it should have a consistency, your answer. So it should have consistency, that is, there should not be abrupt points or paragraphs. 2, there should be a flow, that is, there is one flow, you have started from one point and you're ending to the conclusion. 3, it should be easy to understand, that is, do not use too typical words, do not use too typical flowery language. It's not good, because again I'm telling you, see, the gentleman or woman who's going through your answer sheets, do not give them extra, hard work, extra hard time for them to reach the essence of your answer. Make their work as easy as possible. If you're using too many words or you're using too difficult language, they would get irritated if they are not able to understand. And for them, it's easy to cut across the entire answer and award you just 1 mark for an answer which you could have gotten 7 to 8 marks. So the loser party at the end of the day would be you, and you wouldn't even know what happened. Why did you get such less marks? Make your language interesting but easy to understand. Have short points or paragraphs. And wherever possible, I would suggest to use diagrams, flowcharts, and for this you need a certain amount of practice at your own end. Even while giving the mock test or your daily answer writing practice, please make it a habit to have flowcharts and diagrams wherever it is required. Do not overdo it. You don't need to do it for every answer, because again that would look too much, as if you are trying too hard to impress the examiner. But wherever it is required, please do not miss out on this because you did not have time. Only when you keep the target of answering each question in say 7 to 8 minutes while including these diagrams and flowcharts, only then would you be able to reproduce it in that form in the final exam. So make it a practice. Okay, so these are the things that I would say in your presentation of answer should be there. Coming to the structure of answer. For structure, I would say there are 3 parts to any question. 1, introduction. Then there is body, and there is conclusion. Now, many students do not, follow these 3 parts of the answer. Please understand that every question is important and deserves the proper structuring of the question or the answer that you are going to write. If you're starting with the answer writing practice and if you're not very comfortable in putting your answer into structure, it's better that you organize your answer first in your mind and then at the rough margin of your answer sheet, and then proceed with the answer writing. Over time, you would get used to this process and it would be easy for you to have that structure the moment you read question. Mentally itself, you would not even need to write it down in the margin. So continue this practice and please always maintain the structure of answer in this form, because one, it looks good, it looks a properly balanced answer, and it gives opening to an answer, it gives an introduction to an answer. Then while you're concluding, it gives a proper ending to the answer, it doesn't end abruptly. So like every movie or every show, if it's if the show is ended at a cliffhanger, you feel frustrated. What is this? Suddenly it got stopped. So do not do this to your examiner also. Make him your friend, make it interesting for him to read your answers, make it interesting for him to look at your answers. So for that, always have this introduction, body and conclusion parts. Moreover, these things carry marks. I think half or 1 mark is awarded to this. And sometimes in this exam, the kind of competition it is, even 1.5 mark makes a lot of difference. You can miss out on services because of just 1 mark and half a mark. Okay, so do not take that risk for yourself. Always maintain this consistency of introduction, body and conclusion, whether you're writing in paragraph, whether you're writing in bullet form. Even if you are used to writing in bullets, then write 2 sentences at the beginning without making it as a bullet. Just give an introduction and conclusion. Moreover, people ask me how to introduce an answer. So to tell you that how to introduce an answer, sometimes you can make use of the quotes. Sometimes you can give an incident as the opening of the answer, but take care that it is not something which has been in news for the wrong reasons. Okay, it should not be sensation. You are not there to create sensationalism to make it interesting. You might be awarded negative marks for that, so don't do that. But it can be a quote, it can be a neutral incident. Similarly, for conclusion, I would say that sometimes you can also take help of the question itself while introducing. Suppose the question is about critically examine the Maternity Benefit Act provisions for women in India. Then you can give the introduction like, if this act was introduced in India so and so. If you remember the date, good. If you do not remember the date, the women of India got the well-deserved support with the help of Maternity Benefit Act, and this was a step long due for the women to enter the workforce comfortably. So this kind of introduction can be used. Or you can take the help of any news article that you had written and it had a beautiful opening. So all these things can be taken help of. For conclusion, always maintain a positive conclusion if possible, even if the question is critically examined. Then again, I would suggest you to end it on a positive note. The examiner at the end of the answer should walk away feeling positive about you. Okay. So as I told you, your answer is the only thing the examiner is going to meet, and it should be as impressive, as optimistic, as beautiful as possible from your end. So sometimes people also struggle with answer writing because they feel that they have a lot to write, and the words and the space given in the answer sheet is not doing justice to their own knowledge. So understand, you are not there to show off your knowledge, you are there to answer the question asked. So remain within the boundaries and answer the question. Do not endlessly or forcibly try to make your answer look like a op-ed article or opinion article. This is not what you are there for. You are there only to give the answer to what the question has been about. Then forward and backward linkages. You should always have the forward and backward linkages with respect to the answer that you are giving. For instance, if the question is about, say, globalization in India and its impact on the society. So rather than, straight away answering with the impact that it brought knowledge economy to India, it brought the tertiary sector to India, you should have a backward linkage. That is, when did we adopt the policy of globalization? Then even though it is the part of economy, you need to know, and you would see that there are fluidity between the syllabus of UPSC also and questions also that are being asked in GS paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, even paper 4, sometimes even essay. You would feel that this is the part of GS, and what should be in GS paper 3 is asked in paper 1. What should be part of GS2 is asked in paper 3. So this kind of fluidity is there in UPSC style of questioning also. So you should also maintain the same fluidity. Do not have strict boundaries. That is, if the question is pertaining to GS paper 1, I won't even touch economy. No, that is not a good way to proceed. So give the back linkage to globalization, that it was the LPG reform started in India in 1990s, and then you begin the impact of globalization. Similarly, have forward linkages also. Suppose the question is about the support given to the farmers in India. Then the forward linkage, you should also tell that how this supports the basic income support that is being given to the farmers in Kisan Kalyan Yojana. How is it going to impact their individual lives? How is it going to impact their economic and political, social aspects of life? So that is now forward linkage, okay? So always have this backward and forward linkages while you're reading, also while you're preparing for UPSC, because if you have that, open mindset with respect to all the parts of syllabus, then sometimes the question is which is not very clear to you, or sometimes the question is simply out of the box. But if you have this knack to create these forward and backward linkages, you would find it's easy to answer the question despite not having enough information at that point of time. Then I've already told you, you need to use graphs, flowcharts, examples, anecdotes, and quotes wherever possible. Do not overdo it again and again. I'm telling you, because it feels bad. If somebody is overdressed for a function also, it doesn't look good. So do only where it is possible, where it is required, but do not miss out also on it. It makes your answers interesting. Then different approaches to start an answer or essay. As I've told you, you can make use of quotes, you can make use of an interesting article, you can make use of your own personal stories also sometimes, but they should be very, linked to the question that is being asked. Do not, for the heck of it, do not bring in your personal stories. Not a very good way, but sometimes it can be used, very rarely, but decide for yourself. So different approaches for answers in essays. The essay can be brought in many ways and can be started. It's going to be a long read for the examiner. So it's always important to have a very interesting introduction so that he maintains that interest by the end of your, till the last sentence that you have written. Only if he is reading it with interest, you are liable to get more marks. If he loses his interest and he's pushing himself to, just finish the essay, or sometimes they don't even read the entire thing. They read 2-3 paragraphs and they feel, okay, this is the standard that this kid can reach. So let me award him accordingly. Do not make that mistake. As while you also watch movies, even with initial 20 minutes, you can judge that movie, how it is going to be. And then you don't feel too interested, to continue the movie. Similarly, this happens in while examiner is checking your answer sheet, that even within 2 to 3 minutes, he would judge you and he would leave it at that. So make your answers blockbusters that force the examiner to reach till the end and award you accordingly. Okay, so this is about answer writing. Types of questions. I needed to tell you this because sometimes I've seen that irrespective of what the question is being asked, students try and answer in the same way. So see, you wouldn't have enough time to answer each question differently. That is not even expected of you, but you need to understand the essence of question. So if the questions start with words like examine, discuss, analyze, then you simply have to examine the topic that is given. You do not have to, jot down the points, the provisions. See, if it is written the examine so and so act, just examine its positive aspects, a bit about its negative aspects, the impact it may have. That is all. Do not get into, bringing out the provisions of it. Do not, forcibly try and link it to something which is unrelated. That is not asked of you. If it is written examine, it also doesn't mean that you have to only show the negative aspects or positive aspects. Make a balance and just look at the topic at hand and examine it. Similarly, discuss also, you need to have a fair balance between the positive and negative aspects. Start with the introduction, with the proper introduction, and by the end of it, end on a positive note. analyze also. So these three fall in the same criteria of having a balanced view of the issue. Okay, do not get into useless things or frivolities that is not required. See, suppose it's written, examine the impact of globalization on society, then you need to simply give the various aspects of globalization. Do not go into whether we should do away with the globalization entirely, or do not get into things like rhetorics like globalization has been really bad for the society. You need to have a balanced position on the impact, and you need to give different aspects of it. That is social aspect. A good way to write your answers or even your essay is to open it out into dimensions, say social, political, economic, cultural. Then with respect to the marginalized section of society, how is it impacting the society on a whole, and especially the marginalized section. So this is a good way. Even environment you can include. So this is a good way to ensure that your answer has a holistic approach and you haven't missed out on any important aspect. Plus you will have a substance to give to your answer. It is not in vacuum that you're answering. Then elaborate, elucidate, describe, mention, enumerate. These fall in similar categories that you need to stick to the statement given and go into in depth on the same tangent. You do not have to move left or right. You do not have to, critically analyze it or give the view that is not asked. Okay, so you need to simply elaborate on what is being asked. Suppose elaborate the unity in diversity of India. So just know what are the features of diversity and how have they come together to maintain the unity of India. Just elaborate on it. Okay. Similarly, elucidate, describe, mention, enumerate. So these again fall in one category. Then there are direct kind of questions. They simply ask you in a very simple language of what, how, why, has, is. So So in this this is a very basic kind of questions. You must have answered like this in your school time, in your university time also. So you have to simply answer the question. That is all. What are heat waves? You need to know what are heat waves. Then how are volcanoes responsible for global warming? You need to just know how are they responsible. Similarly, the list goes on. I hope I've made myself clear here. Then critically examine, critically analyze. In these particular kind of questions, you need to give the viewpoint with respect to the critical aspect of it. You do not have to write your personal viewpoint. You simply have to analyze the issue in both positive and negative. Not much positive, the other side of it you can pay more attention to, but do not completely write it in negative sense. Also provide some positive aspects of it. The balance may be 70-30, that is 70 the critical examination and 30 the positive aspects, which would be included in your introduction, conclusion and an opening line. But not in any case should you write the extremes of opinion or judgments. For instance, if it is asked, critically analyze the impact of mining on Indian environment or on environment in India. So do write the negative impacts, that is it leads to a loss of fertility, it leads to certain other loss of cutting down of trees, deforestation and all those things you need to keep writing. But do not conclude it with saying that we should completely do away with mining in India and we need to respect the nature as a whole. That is extreme viewpoint. As I'm telling you, keep a balance even while answering, critically examine and critically analyze. Now in questions like do you agree, distinguish, debate, comment, justify, in this the question is trying to have your viewpoint. Still do not write I feel so or I think because of this and hence because of this the government should do this. Do not give your judgments, do not pass on your subjective opinions in the answer sheet. Always maintain the professionalism, the neutrality and a balance in the answer that you are giving. Do not write frivolous propagandist kind of statements. Do not give one thing that I've usually seen, that sometimes students, in order to show off their knowledge, they name the political parties, they name the leaders, they name organizations which are not supposed to be given. Okay, so avoid all these things. Again, I would tell you that you are not here to show your knowledge in this sense. Show your knowledge in the way question is being asked, not in trying to impose your viewpoint on the examiner. You just have to take a neutral stand, because as an administrator also, you are supposed to maintain the neutrality. That is the most important quality of an administrator. So show that in your answers also, okay? Treat yourself as an administrator already. Then the part of syllabus which has not been asked in your prelims, so you need to be well prepared with that also. So please take care that you do not miss out on the part of syllabus which was not there in your prelims. You would know it while you're reading the syllabus. You would know that this is something that I haven't read before. That is why I'm telling you to read and keep reading the syllabus time and again. Essay and ethics. Essay is something new for which you need practice. At least have a weekly practice of essay. Say devote Sundays for writing down the essays. Ethics, again, just go through the papers and keep making your own notes with respect to each area of the syllabus. Then in GS, what was not there? One was world history, post-independent India, Indian society, internal security. With Indian society, I would write social justice also, and international relation. Then disaster management. So all this was not part of your prelims. You would see that in your main syllabus and prepare it accordingly from the sources that you feel are good. Then language papers, again, you need to prepare them a bit. Do not, I know people, I personally know people who have failed in either of the papers of English or sometimes Hindi if they have opted for it. Do not underestimate the importance of qualifying papers also. You know after your prelims examination that people have failed because of CSAT also, which is a qualifying paper. So even they have importance, and there is a reason they are part of the syllabus. Do not be overconfident about it and prepare everything and leave them and then struggle with it on the day of the exam. Do not do that. If it requires your preparation, if it requires your time, give it some. It is not, it is not necessary that everybody is very good with languages. So at least do not fail those papers. Do not, give too much of time, but at least the basic minimum preparation, please do. Then optional subject, again, this requires a very strategic kind of preparation. Please do take a lot of help from previous year questions and the basic books for your optional subject and prepare it accordingly. Then last, there are certain tips and tricks I would like to end this lecture with. Maximize efforts and maximize marks. By efforts, I mean there are certain things which we underestimate. One thing I would like to suggest is play to your strength. First, understand yourself as an individual. Only then will you be able to show that aspect to the examiner or impress upon the examiner. So understand yourself. If you do not know yourself as an individual, you would always have that underconfidence and you would always be seeking advice and changing your preparation strategy as per the given advices. So that is not a very good way of advancing. As an administrator, you need to be sure of your decisions. You need to be sure of the things about yourself, the kind of position that you may or may not take. So if you know yourself as an individual, it would go a big way in ensuring your success in this exam. I'm not saying it out of the blue, but I have seen people who are confident about their preparation, who are confident about themselves, even if they are under prepared, even they know, but they're confident about that under preparation. They're confident about the things that they have missed out, and they prepare themselves accordingly for the day of the exam. People have cleared this exam with the preparation of mere 6 months also. So if you're that comfortable in your skin, if you know yourself as an individual, it would be a big help to you. When I say play to your strengths, first you need to identify your strengths, obviously. So there are people who are very good with language. They tend to gain marks in essay and ethics more vis-a-vis other subjects. So if you are that kind of person, do not underestimate the practice of essay. If your strength is essay, then you need to play with gusto over there. That is one field you should be able to have a clear shot. And for that, you need to practice essay. Do not feel overconfident with respect to one part of the exam, which you feel I'm very comfortable. Now, people who are comfortable with languages, they feel that whatever question comes, I would write something for this. No, that is not a good approach. If you do not have substance in your answer and it's only the language, examiner is not stupid. You cannot fool him around. So, play to your strength, by which there are certain sections in the syllabus which you are very comfortable and certain sections which are not very comfortable. So, if you know yourself, one, about your skills, about the comfort areas, your natural rhythm and flow with respect to approaching the answers, then adopt whatever is required, but do not forget yourself in the adoption. By this, I mean to say that if you are comfortable with things like ethics, with things like Indian society, something which requires a holistic, but you are not good with facts, then read it enough so that when you write the answer, it shows you different from the other aspirants. It shows you as the person who has command over this area. There are people who are very good at remembering facts, but they are not very good with language. So keep your points succinct, keep your points very short, and use as many facts as possible with demands to the question, the thing which other people might be missing out on. So if you write in bullet form and if you're not very good with language and you feel underconfident, you have a way around it. Give the basic information about the answer and make use of flowcharts, make use of diagrams, include facts wherever necessary. So that is like playing to your strength. The papers in which you would be comfortable then would be paper 2, GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. So try and maximize score in this area. So always play to your strength. Second, importance of timetable. By timetable, I mean to say, even if you're a starter and if you do not have a good timetable, you would see that time just passes away. Years after years, I have seen people struggle with one particular stage of the exam. They are either not able to clear prelims or mains or interview. Sometimes it is not the hard work which is centered around the starting of the exam. It is the years and years of consistency that helps you break the silos of exam. So if you have a timetable, have a genuine timetable which you can follow, but follow it consistently. Do not make it very difficult, very tight scheduled. Sometimes you fall ill and you're not able to stick to the timetable. Again, the portion which you have missed out, just put it in other time and dates that are available to you, but do not leave your timetable altogether. Make a particular timetable including all the parts of syllabus and give enough time where you are not very comfortable with, but stick to that timetable. Keep space for your answer writing, for your essay writing, and for your concept building. Give time for your concept building. Only when you have concepts will you be comfortable writing your answers. Keep enough time for revising also, because again, as I told you, revising one book 10 times would put you ahead rather than not revising and reading 10 books. So understand the importance of revising. Make notes, I have already told you. Write answers, write essays, get them reviewed with your peers, with your subject experts, with your teachers, with your mentors, and take that feedback very seriously. Work on it and keep writing, keep reviewing yourself and keep writing. And again, I'm writing revise because this is the only thing which would take you ahead. It is not the knowledge that counts, it is the way you present your answers that counts. And if you have revised your syllabus properly, if you have revised everything that is given in your syllabus properly, Nothing, absolutely nothing would stop you from clearing this exam one day or the other. Okay, so with this note, I'm ending this discussion. I hope that this has been beneficial to you. If you have any doubts regarding anything, you can leave your doubts in the comment section and we would try and helping you out through that. Thank you for giving me your time. All the best.